Yeah, just hear me out. Okay, we're going live. Okay, so we're live and welcome back, guys. I know it's been a while. It's been a while since we had a session together, and this is going to be one about introduction to data analytics. If you can see me, say hi and let us know where you're watching from. Okay, I can see Alfred. Thanks for joining, Alfred. Hi, Farida from Tanzania. I can see Iso. Welcome, Iso, to the live stream. So just to give a bit of a background, this initiative was born out of the need to introduce newbies, people that want to switch to information technology on the group. Most of you are on the Canada Connect group. Welcome, Tosin. Hi from Lagos. Big Ortiz. Hi, Sele from South Africa. So so on the group, we'll be having these discussions, and I and my colleague Ugochukwu, we are IT professionals. We worked together for so many years, and we've decided to put this together. Now, this by any means is not a comprehensive like course to data analytics. It can never be for something we'll do for just an hour or slightly more. So we decided to do this introduction. So welcome, Ugo. If you can introduce yourself to the viewers, that'd be nice. Hello, I need to know first and foremost if you can hear me.
Hi, can you
Hi,
hear
can you
me?
hear me? Yes, Ugo, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Sorry
Okay,
about that.
my
Okay,
name
my
is
name's
Ugochukwu
Ugochukwu
Ozuzu, Ugo
Ozuzu,
for
Ugo for
short.
short.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
making our
making
time
our
for your
time
busy
for your busy
schedules to
schedules to
participate in this
participate in this
introductory
introductory
session.
session.
Like Henry
Like
said, it
Henry
was
said, it
born
was
out of
born out of
popular
popular
demand. A lot
demand.
of
A lot of
questions were
questions
coming
were
out.
coming out.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
wow.
Can you hear me
Can you hear
now?
me now?
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Thank
okay,
you.
thank you.
So it was
So
out
it was
of
out of
popular
popular
demand
demand
for
for
there's
there's
this
this
clarification
clarification
or
or
there's been so
there's
many
been so
questions
many
around
questions
data
around data
analysis,
analysis, data
business
analytics, business
intelligence. So
intelligence.
Henry
So
and I
Henry and I
decided to put
decided to
something
put something
together to
together
help
to help clarify,
put some
put some
clarity
clarity
on the
on the
issue.
issue.
My name's
My
Ugo,
name's
and
Ugo, and
I have
I have
been
been
an IT
an IT
professional for a
professional
while,
for
now,
a
a
while
couple
now, a
of years,
couple
I
of
think
years, I
10
think
years
10
now.
years now.
And
And
business
business
intelligence and
intelligence
data
and data
analytics is very
analytics is very
interesting.
interesting.
So
So
thank you for
thank you for
coming, and
coming,
I
and
hope you
I hope
enjoy
you
this
enjoy
session.
this session.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
we're going to
we're going to
start
start
with
with
I think I
I
should
think I should
share
share
my,
my
I have a
I have a
presentation
presentation
I would
I
like
would
to
like to
share with you
share with you
guys.
guys. Sorry, Ugo. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. You were going to go ahead to explain the misconception we always have
Yes, yes.
about.
I want to
I
take
want to
with
take
the
with the, 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 with the,
presentation. Yeah, I want to take with the presentation. Please confirm
Please
if you can
confirm if you
see
can
the
see the
presentation we're
presentation
sharing.
we're sharing.
Okay, so today we're going to be looking at data analytics as a whole. And like Henry said, I'll be taking through data analytics, data analysis, and business intelligence. I'm going to try to set clarity for those who need to understand the difference and to set their paths, those who are trying to forge a career or who are trying to decide on what career path to follow. And I'm going to be bringing in my so-called wealth of experience into this to kind of clear this. And we'll be looking at, it's going to be a three-part session, a three-lesson session, so to say. The first, we'll be looking at data analytics.
Then lesson 2, we'll be looking at data analytics. And in lesson 3, we're going to take a hands-on exercise. We're going to build something to show you hands-on what it actually is like. Harry, I think confirm if there's an echo in the background.
Yeah, I'm just asking if it's fine now.
So we'll be starting with looking at the difference between data analysis and data analytics. There's this confusion about data analysis and data analytics. A lot of people, the term is used interchangeably, and from a high level, it seems harmless. It doesn't seem to have any difference. But if you look at it from a conceptual point of view, there is a difference. And I would like to show you, if you can see the slide on my screen, you will see that data analysis happens to be a broad field. It entails using data gathered from the business or from the organization and some certain tools to help the business arrive at decisions. And data analysis on its own is a subset of data analytics. So it's more of a technique, if I should put it that way. And when we say tools, some of these tools are human-enabled, some of them are machine-enabled. So data analytics entails using these tools to gather this data, to discover the data, to analyze it, interpret it, visualize it, find patterns, tell stories, and get your business or your users to be able to use your stories to make strategic business decisions. Now, one of the things that makes data analytics, or the most useful part of data analytics, is that it helps you to find trends. There's a saying that there's no problem on earth today that is new. It has happened in one form or the other. All you need to do is gather sufficient data. If you can get as much data of the past, you'll be able to see a pattern. Maybe it happens at a certain time every year, maybe it happens at a certain temperature, or it happens at a certain event. If you can gather enough data, you'll be able to see a trend, and it helps you prepare. They now call that the predictive analytics. We'll come into that. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. Now, another usefulness is that it helps you to uncover hidden opportunities, because by the time you're able to find a trend, you'll be able to see where opportunities lie for you to take advantage of, or to better prepare or position yourself. Now, another use is that it helps you to predict actions, find events that are coming up, something, just like I said, better prepare. And in that way, you can also take decisions. So that is, from a high level, the concept of, or the usefulness of data analytics.
Okay.
Now, in data analytics,
So, Ugo, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, now that you've explained these use cases, at least for someone like me, it is clear what these things can be used for. I don't know if you can go ahead to. Ugo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I don't know if you can go ahead to explain, like, for the newbies, since we are in a new environment in Canada, how easy it is to switch from whatever someone else is doing to get into data. It's well and good for them to hear of data analytics. Is well and good for them to know that the analysis part is actually a subset, at least by what you're showing us. How would you say it'll be good for new people that are new in Canada to start to get into this, before we get into the technical bit? If they are to get into it, how do they position themselves from what they've done before? If you can use a few minutes to explain this bit, I think it will help people, so we don't just go into the technical aspect and it looks like they are drowning in the sea.
Okay, yes, thanks for taking me back on this. And it's very important to know this. Uh, Permit me to put it this way. I would like to even tell my own story, how I started in the field. Now, I have been doing data analysis from back home, but when I got here, I realized you can't just transition from a managerial role there to a managerial role here. For some reason, it happens. Not that it doesn't happen, but there's this. I don't know if to call it a lack of belief, or they want you to prove yourself first. So you shouldn't be afraid to start from the bottom. So for someone who hasn't done data analytics or data analysis in the past, coming to Canada, you should be prepared to start from the bottom and build your way to the top. And my personal story, when I arrived in Canada, it took me 3 months to get a job. And my first job, believe it or not, with all my experience, was a data entry job. What do I mean by data entry? I have to just help them build reports, build Excel dashboards. So I am bold to make the statement that if you understand how to use Excel as a fundamental tool, and you start with a data entry job, you can hone your skills, or if you even have the skills, you can begin to show and display your skills, and that way they build a fit. So here is merit driven, it's performance driven. They need to see what you do, how you do it, then they now begin to get relaxed and they don't micromanage you. So if you are new to Canada and you're thinking of entering the field, I think the best starting point is Excel. Now, because I've had questions on this severally, I started, or I am starting a series where we'll be going through Excel. We'll talk about that later in the training.
Yeah.
We'll be putting out some videos and tutorials on basic skills or basic Excel functions you need to know to start business and data analysis.
Okay. Yeah.
That answers your question.
We'll get to at the end of the show. We'll get to that one because we have offerings for you, like Ugo has stated. So, if you stay till the end of this broadcast, we'll reveal all of that. I'm happy to announce that our Canada Connect WhatsApp, we are 150 strong in just 3 months. That's incredible, and you guys have been really helpful, and I'm sure you've gained a lot, and you guys are contributing as well. Farida wants to know if there are available certifications out there. Yes, Farida, like Ugo has mentioned, Microsoft has his business intelligence tool called Power BI, and Excel itself as as a tool. If you go on LinkedIn, just doing a LinkedIn quiz, for example, to validate yourself and putting out there, tells people looking at your profile that you're good on that. So, Ugo, if you can highlight any other certifications that in that field as you go on with your presentation, that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you, Harry. So there are a lot of certifications out there for data analysis. There's the one from Microsoft called the CBDA, is a Certified Business Data Analyst, like Henry has mentioned. Now, it's a two-part certification. You need to you pay for it, and there are two certifications you need to get for it to be a Certified Business Data Analyst. Now, even the IIBA, where business analysts are being certified, they have an entry-level certification for business data analysts, so you can also look at that. Generally, Excel has its own certifications. Most of these enterprise tools, like the IBM with their client analytics, they have certifications. So it really depends on what you want, what your target is, what tools you want to specialize in. If it's Power BI, you start looking at the Microsoft certifications. If you are looking at IBM, you start looking at the certification. So every application, every tool every enterprise software, they have some sort of training and certification that will help you integrate into the discipline.
Okay, Farid, I'm sure that would answer your question. So we'll go ahead with his presentation. And what we intend to do today is to use Microsoft Excel to gain insight to some data. You know, you can get today data is produced at a very crazy pace. The New York Stock Exchange, you know, produces, I can't use this word, but a ton of data, and you know you there you start to go into things like big data. I don't want to derail us from this, but we have data from different sources, and Ugo has done wonderfully well to be able to provide that. If you look in the description, we have a link to the Google Drive where all of that data is, both the slide you can see on the screen and the data. So feel free to download it and then go along, you know, if you can. I hope you can see the screen very well, and then Ugo will take us through that in the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, which will bring us to 40 minutes into the presentation, and then we can use the last 20 minutes to the last 15 minutes to ask questions, and hopefully in the last 5 minutes we'll tell you the offerings we both have. Ugo has a YouTube channel and he will have offerings on there, and like I stated in the past, I'll also be doing a series here that you can follow. So you know, at the end we'll speak on that. So Ugo, if you could continue for the next 25 minutes to show us what you have prepared.
Okay, so like Henry said, the field of data analysis or data analytics is not something that's going to be dying soon. I mean, in as much as machines have been developed or are being developed to handle data analysis, but we turn out more data on a daily basis than we had in the last 20 years. And with this comes the demand for people to analyze this data. Even if the machine analyzes the data, we still need people to look at it and translate this data. So in data analytics, there are some processes that we go through. Now, the first process that I would like to run us through is the process of collecting the data. Now, there's something called a data pipeline, and these are the processes that form it. So collecting the data has to do with gathering this data. We have different kinds of data. There is HR data, there's finance data, there are operational data, there's all sorts of data. So every industry, every business gathers some form of data. Now, your ability to collect this data and ingest it properly is one of the things. And data is categorized into two parts when you're collecting data. We have the structured and unstructured form. So depending on the kind of data is what defines the kind of action or the next action you're going to be taking. Now that's we're talking about categorizing the data. Now the third part of the process or the third process is managing this data. So I have gathered this data. How do I manage this data? So usually it's done in databases, in data warehouse. There are all sorts of databases and data warehouse and data lakes and data infrastructure and architecture that's used to manage this data. Then you store it. When you say storing data, there's hot storage, warm storage, cold storage, different kinds of data storage processes. And one of the most critical parts of data, the data pipeline, is what I call the ETL, extract, transform, and load. Now, when you get data, if it's unstructured data, you need to clean it up. You need to extract the data from the source, transform it to a format where your database will be able to handle it, or whatever you're building or the reporting system is going to be able to handle it. So that's the transforming. Then loading it is now putting it in the system. Now, this is very critical because if you don't have a right setup or a clear process set up for this, you would run into problems down the road. So the ETL is where you should spend more of your time, because that is what will give you the insights, things like formats and what is even relevant in the data. For somebody who is doing HR data, I mean, back home we have date of birth, local government, and what have you not. But over here, something as basic as your nationality is not all that important. Yeah. They stick it at the national level. They don't start asking what state of origin. So if I'm doing a report for someone here for diversity purposes, I wouldn't be looking at your state of origin. But it depends on the results. So that's why I said what part of this data is relevant. That's where the ETL comes into play. Then we now have the analysis, where you analyze this data. Now, this is where you now, from the information, you now bring out what you want to see. Are you trying to establish a trend? Are you looking for a pattern? Are you able to get insights? Now, that is the next phase. And finally, we now have the most important after your ETL, which is sharing the data. Because if you gather this data, you do all this wonderful work, and you're not able to put it in a way that it can be easily consumed, where your users can look at your reports, look at your data, and understand and take decisions, then I think every other thing you have done is probably a waste of your time. So sharing the data is also very important, where you have to know what you're doing, what the business is trying to see, and all that, and be able to put it in a way that anybody who picks up your report is going to understand what you're talking about.
Right.
So I don't know if we have any questions or if that was clear enough.
Yeah. So guys, I'd want to know if you're able to download the resource. And then I only have one thing to ask of you, one thing and one thing only. Please do not forget to like this video. You know, it helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps us when we create stuff like this. So if you can just take a second to like the video, I really appreciate it. And then we have some questions, you know, I'll just go through before you continue to the lesson 2. Someone has asked if the data analytics post diploma certificate program at SAIT is good. Yes, I can tell you that SAIT is one of the best schools here. The graduates that those guys churn out are, you know, very good. I've worked with a lot of them, and that's a general consensus. So if you want to go there, you know, that's fine. There's a new, I'm not an immigration consultant, but there's a new stream where you can do this postgraduate program, and then you get a work permit. Don't quote me, but you can look up on that. So that's a good course, I would say. And then Iso is asking, are data analytics skills and certifications important for people looking to pivot into a business analysis career path? If I were to answer that, I would say those skills are necessary, because as a BA, if you're gathering requirements, you know, from a client or senior management, you should be able to understand these things to be able to pass them on to either your BA, senior BA, or whatever. So those skills are really, really helpful. You know, they are helpful in that. I think we have one more question.
Can I add on to that?
Okay, we'll go on.
What you just said. So yeah. I would like you to look at business analysis from this light. Now, there's a lot of innovation in technology in the world today, and businesses are trying to catch on to technology. But the man who is selling yogurt doesn't know anything about technology, but he wants his business to be transformed. So as a business analyst, you are the bridge between the business and the technical people. So as many technical skills as you can gather as a business analyst works in your favor. You are able to understand the business from the business point of view and what they are requiring, what they're asking for. And as a technical person that has the skills, you're able to translate to the developer or the project team. This is what they're asking. This is what the business wants. This is what we need you to develop. So if you understand or have these skills, it's going to be easy communicating between both parties. So you need as many skills as you can. If you have an opportunity to pick up a new skill, please do it, because it's very, very useful.
Yeah. Okay, so please, in the comment section, I'd like you guys to let me know if you've been able to download the resource. I'm sure it's either in zip form or something, because where we'll be heading on to now, you might want to follow along, or if you're not able to follow along, then you can come back and watch this again when we publish on YouTube. So just let me know in the comment section if you can download it. So Ugo, you can continue with lesson 2.
Okay, so I hope I'm not too fast, because I want us to spend more time on the practicals, and I know when we start we'll have a lot of questions there, so that's why I'm trying to rush through this. So the second part of this introductory class is data analysis. And like I said, data analysis, if you notice in the slide I had up before, it's a subset of data analytics. Now the difference is that this is like a process or a group of processes, while this is a field. So bringing us now, we're going to look at this subset of data analysis, which is the most important thing. Now, it's a subset of data analytics that refers to specific actions, and it consists of, remember we talked about the ETL, the extraction, sum and load, the modeling of the data, the question of the data is like trying to find, you're questioning your data set. You want to see, are there trends? What can this data tell me? That's the question of the data, where you try to get information and everything. And there's a whole lot that entails, including visualization in data analysis. Now, the difference between data analysis and data analytics is the part where data analytics, you also have to guide in the decision-making process. So you play a major role in it. So as a data analyst, what I do is just to analyze the data and send the reports to you. But in data analytics, I tell you what I can see in the data and give you recommendations, help you to take those decisions. We're going to be saying that as we proceed. So there are different types of data analysis, and I'll start with the first one, which is text analysis. Now, text analysis is it's more inclined to artificial intelligence and machine learning, where you look at people's comments or feedback from customers, clients, and users, and try to get from the text they're putting in, what are they inferring, what are they talking about, how do they feel about the business. It has to do more with data mining. Now it tries to discover a pattern in this. Data usually comes in as forms, because like I said, text analysis is feedback. So they usually come in as forms. Normally you have web pages, Google Forms, Excel inputs, surveys. This thing comes in, and they usually come in large volumes. And when you put this, you use the databases and other mining tools like the IBM Watson Analytics. It helps you to analyze text. So from the way somebody says, oh, your service is not the best service, you know that this person is kind of dissatisfied. So if you have more of those kind of comments, you begin to look at your service. So we complain about the product. So text analysis does that. And most of the tools used here are AI and machine learning tools. Now, the second kind of analysis is the statistical analysis. Now, this is where you question the data, like what happened, what happened, what actually happened. No, the first one is feedback. They are telling you. For statistical analysis, you're not getting any feedback. You're the one who is seeing what's going on, and you're asking what happened. And this is done by questioning your past data, and you put it in a visualization. So in a pie chart, in a graph, it usually helps you to see from a high level. And you sort of it involves the collection, analysis, interpretation, modeling of the data. So you model the data. You can choose to do rolling averages, you can choose to do sums, whatever, diversity, you can do manpower reports, anything. So it depends on your data set and what you are trying to find out. Now, the next kind of analysis is the one I call diagnostic. Now, diagnostic is just trying to find out why something happened. Oh, my car went off on the road. You are calling a mechanic. You are calling him to diagnose the problem. Why did it happen? So by trying to draw insight from your data to find out why something happened, you're doing what they call a diagnostic analysis. Now, like I said, the most daring part of data analysis is predictive analysis. Now, predictive analysis is, you have seen what happened, you have seen why it happened. You are now trying to say what is likely to happen. How likely is an event going to happen? How can we prepare for this and all this? So that is the predictive analysis, and it's born from analyzing your past data. And finally, we will look at prescriptive. Now, prescriptive is when you now combine all these ones we've talked about, and you now try to now take a position on an issue. For instance, 100 people walk into my shop, but only 10 people buy. I have that from statistical analysis. Now, why did it happen? I will start looking at the data. I start looking at things like what are you selling, what time of the day. Then diagnostic, I'll say, okay, this is why it happened. Then predictive is, okay, so this is what happened. So if you continue at this, this is likely going to happen. That is not the predictive. Now the prescriptive is, however, if you want this result, you should do this based on the data available. So that is from a high level data analysis. Now, me now getting the business to take a decision on this data analysis is what we now call the data analytics. It's the whole field, the whole practice. And let me make bold to say this statement. When we have roles, there are a lot of roles that go on, job adverts and everything, and sometimes you look at a role will tell you it's a business analyst role, but they're asking you to have ETL skills and everything, but you don't see anything about requirement gathering and what have you not, the typical BA role. So, that kind of a job description was mislabeled. But by the time you look at the functions you're doing, you find out that you're doing data analysis or data analytics. And these job titles go anywhere from data analyst, HR analyst, BI analyst, consultants, and what have you not. So, from a high level, that's where the difference between data analysis and data analytics. So, if you understand or if this is clear enough, I would like you to put some comments, put some emojis in the chat so we know you're following while we prepare. Do we have any other questions before we proceed?
Let me see. I think so far we've answered all of the questions. Some people just want to know how they can join the group, and I've said you can reach out to me on my Instagram. I put it in the comment section. Is my Canada Waka. So if you reach out there, you can belong to the group. The group talks about any and everything. Sometimes we paste jobs there when we have them from amongst ourselves. Yeah, so that's it. I haven't received your feedback on if you guys can download the resources, so let me know. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Click on the notification bell because it helps to get you notified when we post new videos. So let me know, have you been able to download the resource? Because we're about to get into the hands-on section where we'll get some insights from data that is provided in what you download. So can you let me know? Or then again, if you just want to watch and you're not willing to do this on your laptop or your computer with your own Excel, you can always watch again when this stuff is posted live and continue. So if that's fine, then I think we can continue, Ugo.
Okay, thank you. So we will be looking at a data set. So I will tell you that this data was sourced freely on the internet. I think in the slide you will see I have the links to where you can get sample data sets if you want to try your hands. The beautiful thing about data analysis is that you have a lot of free resources on the internet when it comes to data sets and databases where you can get hands-on and follow through. In the coming days and weeks, I will be putting out hands-on exercises on my YouTube channel where we'll get to run through, it's new anyway, we'll get to run through exercises hands-on with data sets, and we'll be looking at an HR data set. I would like to run what we call a diversity and inclusion report. So confirm to me if you can see my screen. So this is sample HR data, and in this Excel sheet you can see it has columns and has rows. So here we have 311 records, I believe. Yes, 311 records or 311 employees, and we have a whole bunch of columns. I think there are about 20, yeah, about 30 columns. Now, this is typically the kind of data that an organization gathers when they hire people, like workforce data. So we're assuming this is company A, and these are their employees, and each employee has an employee ID. Now, this employee ID has to be unique. It's like a staff number. I don't think any two staff will have one employee ID or one number. So it's usually is what we call a primary key or a unique identifier. And for the purpose of this report, we'll be using it a lot. Now, the next one tells their status or if they're married or not. So married ID in databases, it usually is either a 0 or 1s. Most databases try to avoid text and use numbers instead, binary. So 0 means the person is single, 1 means the person is married. Now, marital ID status, we have the gender. So for this purpose, we'll define 1 as males, 0 as females.
Sorry, Ugo. There seems to be a problem. Some folks are saying they can't see the screen. If you're looking at the
Oh,
Excel screen, they can't see it. You need to replace. You need to
oh,
put it where the slide is. So take off the slide and put the Excel data so they can follow along.
please forgive me. I am too technical and too excited that I can't. I'll have to share the screen again. And
Essentially, just replace the slide and you know.
yes. So confirm if you can see the screen now, the Excel. Okay, thank you. So, like I was explaining, this is the employee name, the names of the various employees, the employee ID, which is the unique identifier, the marital status, their gender, and everything. So I'm going to quickly show us how we can clean up the data. So the way this data is now, if my boss calls and asks me how many employees, how many female employees do we have in the organization today, I won't be able to tell because I don't know from the reports who is a male or who is a female. But the database analysts apparently will be able to know because they configured the data, the database, and they know the code. So for this report, we'll start by doing what it's called a transformation. So in Excel, there are different functions used in Excel, and these are your ribbons where you have the control panel, where you can find your functions, your formulas, and this is what we call a formula bar. This place you have the effects. Now, if you want to put something in the formula bar, you always start with an equal to sign. This column, I will highlight the first cell. Now, I want this Excel on this column to tell me what we have here. I want you to translate it to either male, female. So I'm going to start by writing in this function with an equal to sign. I would like to use an if function. Let me tell you, in Excel, there are different approaches you can use, but I would like to go with the easiest one for the purpose of this class. So I will start with an if function. Now, when you put the if function, you put a bracket. You see it gives you it defines the function like a logical test. So what is it testing? Now, if it does this test, if the value is true, what should it return? If the value is false, what should it return? That's what an if function does. Now, I want to tell this formula that if this cell E2 is equals to 1, return 2. Otherwise, return is 0 for me. Now, most times you will have difficulties writing a function. To be very honest with you, you can't store all the Excel functions in your head. But Excel made this very wonderful tool called this functionality. So once you put the function you want, if you need further assistance, you just click on this FX here, and it's going to bring up a dialog box for you. So permit me, can we see the dialog box? Confirm if you can see the dialog box so that I can continue. Henry, are you able to see the dialog box, the formula function bar?
No, it's not there, but you can continue. It helps that you've mentioned that such a thing would come up. Okay, I think it's coming up now. It may be slow because I'm looking at the stream, but I'm sure they can see it.
Okay. Yeah, so what it does is that it breaks down the function arguments. So what are you asking the Excel to do? So the first thing is the logical test. What is it testing for? It's testing if the cell E1 contains the value 1. And you can see the answer to that is true. So when it is true, what value should I return if it's true? I say return male. However, if the value is false, return is 0. So by the time I press OK, it will give me my result. This shows that this person, Wilson, is actually a male. Now, if I drag this formula down, you see that it comes to a point where it gives me a 0. So if we look at the function arguments here, If we look at the function argument here, you will see that the logical test returns false, and it is doing what I asked it to do. I said if it is false, return a 0. Now in Excel, there's something called nesting a formula. And with nesting formulas, what we do is you put a formula inside a formula, and you can keep nesting as many formulas. That's where the formula writing in Excel gets complicated. So in this case, we will go back to the original logical test and tell it now, if the value is false, I want you to now tell me that they are females, or they are female now, and I will hit OK. So by the time I drag this down, you will notice that it's returning both males and females. Now, when it comes to nesting formulas, so the if has two arguments, when the value is true and when the value is false. But what if the result has, or what I'm testing for can have 3 results? So for instance, we have only 0 and 1s on this column. What if we had somebody who refuses to identify as a male or a female, and we put 2, for instance? You'll find out that by the time I pull this down, it's giving me a female, but it's wrong because this person is not a female. But my formula isn't what I asked it to do, because I said if it is not a male, return female regardless of what it is. But when it comes to Excel, you need to know what they call nesting of formulas. So what I will do now is that I will nest a second if formula. So I will tell it, so if the answer is false, run another test. Now, what is it testing this second time? I can put the formula back to help me. So if E1 or E2 in this case is equals to 2, then return on, sorry, if it is equals to, the first one we did was if it's equals to 1. So this is going to be if it's equals to 0, that's the females. So if it is equals to 0, return female for me. Otherwise, just tell me that this person did not declare, not declared. So you see that by the time I hit this, it gave me not declared. Now, but if you notice, here I'm testing cell E18, here I'm testing cell E2. So what I will do is I will move this now to E18, standardize it. Then I will run this, do an autofill, so that the formula is standard across the entire column. So by the time I double click this, it fills the entire thing. So you see that it has been able to categorize everybody to either male, female, or those that are not declared. I hope we're understanding this. If we can understand this, put some emojis on the chat so that I will know we're following. So Excel is a very powerful tool. You can do anything with Excel. And for the purpose of our time, I'm going to run straight to the diversity report. So here I want to just check how diverse the organization is in terms of gender. I can also do in terms of age. So in terms of age here, I will be very quick. You will get more elaborate videos to explain this. So I want to check age. However, I don't have their age here, but I have their date of birth. So I want to know how old they are at the end of February, how old are all our employees at the end of February. So there's something called a date difference function. It's called date diff. So you start with the start date. So the start date in this case is their birth date. Then the next argument is the date I want to compare it with. So let me even compare it with today's date. So I would want to know how old they are today. Then the next function is the year function. So in this, I'm telling it to return it as years for me. So by the time I hit the enter, I need to format this now as, this is a date function. I need to format it as a number and take out the decimal. So you see that this person that was born in 1983 is 37 years today. So if I'm doing a diversity report based on gender and based on age, I need this column to be filled out. If I want to see how many months the person is, if I put the month function, this person is 451 months old. If I want to see how many days this person has lived, I put the day function. So Excel is a powerful tool. You need to be able to understand how to use it and know what you're trying to get. So for the purpose of this report, we want to know their age in years. And all I need to do is to fill this true, and it's going to give me the values. So we will proceed with X, just because we have it all gender 2 rather. So for the purpose of this report, we want to do this visualization, we will use what we call a pivot table. Now a pivot table is a summary of this data, and it's in this function, the insert function. So to get a pivot table, the first thing is to make sure all your columns have headers. Every column should have a header, otherwise you run into problems down the line. You come to any cell and you click the insert function, then you say insert a pivot table. When you click on this, it's going to ask you, where is the data range? So this is the data range. You can see it has highlighted everything in the Excel from cell A1 to cell AL312. Now, the next question is asking you, where do you want me to place this pivot table? So I will tell it into a new
Ugo,
worksheet. So it's going to open a worksheet for us.
sorry to interrupt. So anything that has to do with a dialogue, just do it and then highlight the formula so it shows on the address bar. You can explain it there, because for some reason I don't think we all can see the dialog that comes up. So if you can do it and then explain the formula from the address bar, I think they'll get more value from it, because we can't see it. Yeah. And then we have just 10
just
minutes.
Have this in mind.
I think, sorry, we
Whenever
have just
you
5
have
minutes so that we can take questions.
Whenever you have a dialog box, you need to understand the function. So up here is the pivot table. It has put it on a new worksheet for me. And we have a lot of things here. So like I told you, the most important thing in data analysis is to make sure your data is clean. And to clean this data, you will need to do a lot of manual transformations. I hope we can see the pivot table menu. Now, the first thing we do is that we are going to be counting. When you are doing analysis, you need to do counts and sums and averages. So to count, what are we going to be counting? We want to count how many employees, and the only unique thing we have is the employee ID. So I will drag this employee ID down to the values column. Now, what am I trying to see? I want to now see the gender. The next thing I will do is to drag the gender as rows. So you can see it's telling me that this is how it broke this down. But if you notice here, it's giving me a sum. So I will go to the values, right click it, and value field settings. Then I will change this sum to a count and press OK. So it's telling me that there are 175 women in the organization and 135 males in the organization. So this is, on a high level, is a diversity report based on gender. Now, if I want to do a further breakdown, okay, these guys, I want to break them based on their age range or based on their ages. I want to see how old each person is. All I need to do is to look for the age column and drag it into the column section. So you can see this has summarized this entire data set into this small report for me. So off the top of my head, I have 311 employees. And this is how, so it tells me that there are 2 females aged 28 and 1 male at the age of 28. There are 2 females 29. So this is from a high level how you summarize data. And you can choose to put this as a bar chart, as a graph, as a pie chart, whatever rocks your boat. So I hope this is, for the purpose of time, I hope this will suffice for now. Like I said, we are going to be putting out a lot of YouTube videos where we'll go through this in details. And if you have questions, you can send them in. I'm going to take a break here to get some feelers or some feedback from you, for those of you who have questions.
Okay, so I've put in the comment section that if you have questions, you can keep them coming in. And based on what I've read so far, I think it's time for me to let you guys know that Ugo now has his own YouTube channel. So I'll encourage you guys to connect, to subscribe. And then I've also gotten questions on things like salary range, and I can give you an example for myself. You know, My very first job here was a data job, and what I can say in terms of a range is that from 70,000 Canadian to 140, and this is based on your level of experience. Now, back home, I used to develop software in both Java and in C Sharp. If you do that, then you can earn more here. You know, it depends on what you want to do since IT is huge. So if you're able to show that you have, let's say, 3 years worth of experience and you've done some, you know how to use Power BI, for example, you could very well command 80K to 100K, as opposed to someone that's just coming into the industry that might want to start with some sort of data entry. um, Benga is asking, can you do age range from the pivot table? Yes, you can do that. If you look at the pivot table he's done, you can see how many people are, let's say, 28 years. So how many male, how many female are that age. You can go to 31 to see. If you want to do age range, then it depends on how you want to do. Okay, I can see you've already put the ranges you want, like 28 to 40, 40 to 45. That would very well simplify what Ugo has done. But this type of requests, typically will come from senior management, because they want to see whatever thing they want to check, maybe who to promote next, or to see if, since this is a diversity and inclusion report, to see if they've employed minorities, or if they need to improve in that minority quota. So yes, Benga, it can be done, but this presentation would limit what we can show here. So both on my channel and on Ugo's channel, if you are subscribed, you will get more videos in the coming days and weeks on things you want. So that's why I say just put in the comment section the type of videos you want to see, and we'll make sure to make them. Okay, any more questions? Also, those that have sent requests through Instagram, I can see them. After we publish this video, I would send the link so you can join the WhatsApp group. Okay, so let's see questions. Yes, you couldn't see the dialogues for some reason. I don't know why that's the case. So watch out for those videos, and I'm sure we'll figure them out, where for every thing that we do in Excel, we'll make sure you see everything and you can follow along. Like we said, this is an introductory one, but I do hope you've gotten the concept of what data analytics is, the subset data analysis, what business intelligence is, the tools that are available to carry out data analytics. So yeah, thank you, Benga. Great, guys, see you, thanks. Okay, I think we've answered all of those questions, and we have 8 more minutes. Also,
I
guys,
think I've been able to answer Benga's question.
Yeah, you have.
Watching. So if I want to do this, I'm going to nest this if formula in again. Between 12 and 45. Same thing we do here.
Okay, we'll go when you're done. I'll answer Farida's question.
Yeah, no, go ahead and answer the question.
Okay, so Farida says, I'm a newbie, 10 years in accounting and finance. How and what is the first step to switch? So, Farida, if you're already in finance, then I'm sure you've worked with a lot of Excel, and you've worked with a lot of data. And typically, those that are in the finance industry, they have a keen eye for data. So, first things first, just know that you have already relevant skills that you cannot discount. These skills will be necessary, when you start to get into the industry. So if you already know how to use Excel, very good. What I'll advise you to do next is to familiarize yourself with functions. So Ugo has mentioned some functions. Because of the limitations of what we're doing now, we cannot mention all of the functions, but very key functions are VLOOKUP. People don't use HLOOKUP as much. However, with the new version of Microsoft Excel, which is the Office 365 version, we now have what supersedes the VLOOKUP function called XLOOKUP. So we're going to be doing videos on that one. XLOOKUP is it's better in terms of its offerings. You don't have to be counting left like you do in VLOOKUP and placing columns at certain places. So I would say familiarize yourself with Microsoft Excel, learn all of the functions, learn how to nest your functions, learn how to do your if else. Like I said, when the videos come, we'll take them step by step on how you can get there. And also it'll be nice to also learn to pick up a business intelligence tool like Power BI, Tableau. Power BI now, I think, has on the Gartner chart, I think Power BI now supersedes Tableau in its position and its usage. You can check that. But learn to use tools like Power BI. Something we also maybe didn't mention enough here is that part of data analytics and data analysis is that you may be required to pull data out of a database, a relational database, for starters. And the database is a storage entity, that stores your data. It could be flat data, or it could be data that is dynamic, where every second when you're storing something, it goes in there. Like, when you have a visitor, you check the visitor in, you have a log, it's stored in a database, for example. So you need something called SQL or SQL, which is structured query language. So that's a language that you use to, it's the language can be as plain as English, and then it also has its own syntax, which is what you use to write, so it can be understood, so that the database engine can understand and then pull back data. So this information you see in Excel could well have been pulled from a database using SQL and made available to the public. So yeah, to answer your question, Farida, get yourself familiarized with Excel. Learn structured query language, SQL or SQL. It will help, because I don't see where you're good with using a tool like Excel and then you're using Power BI but you cannot connect to a data source. Power BI as a business intelligence tool connects to multiple data sources. You can connect to an Excel worksheet either in CSV or traditional Excel. You can connect to Microsoft Dynamics. You can connect to Microsoft SQL database. So I think these are the rudiments if you want to start, before we start going into specific tools, or specific offerings from vendors like Microsoft, things like SSIS, and all of that. So I hope that answers your question, Farida. Let me see if we have any more in the comment section.
Henry, I sent some messages in the chat. People are asking for certifications for data analysis. The link up for you. I think you should check your Skype as well.
Okay, no worries. So what Ugo has sent in answer to your question for certifications, there are loads of them. I'll put them in the description before publishing the video. I can see, let me see a question from Yemisi. Okay, you've told us your background is in SecAdmin and psychology, and you also have 14 years experience in banking. So I would say none of these things limit you, because as you know, the world is changing. We now have the coronavirus pandemic that has changed a lot. Last week, I and one of the people from the group, we went downtown to Calgary and we did a walk. And one thing struck out, was that the buildings there were empty. You would see a lot of for lease signs. And, in January 2020, those were offices where people used to go to do their jobs. but now everyone is working from home. So it doesn't matter if you've done, sec admin or banking. In banking, you also crunch numbers. Whatever field you're in, it depends on the tolerance you have to get into this field. And that would be how you can start to entertain things like I said, Excel, the rudiments, and understand these things. For me, I used to hate Excel. I won't lie to you. In the whole Office suite, I prefer to use Word. I prefer to use PowerPoint and all. But in 2011, when I got into an HRIS analyst, data analyst role, where Excel was the predominant tool used, I had no choice. And then I can tell you that within 3 weeks to 4 weeks, I picked it up because it was something I used daily. So it depends also on your level of tolerance and on your willingness to switch. And then one thing that I will never stop talking about whenever I do my videos is the networking aspect. So I'll highlight it a bit here. I know most of us, or 90% of us, are on LinkedIn. And if you're looking to get to a new field, one of the best things you can do is to shadow those that are already in the field. I can tell you in the last 4 weeks, I've gotten a lot of requests from some of you that are already in the group or watch this channel, and I appreciate it because I can also learn a lot from some of you. But if you connect with me, for example, and you reach out and you ask questions, I'm always ready. For those that have reached out to me both on Instagram and on LinkedIn, you can search for Ugochukwu Ozuzu on LinkedIn as well. Connect with him, reach out to him, ask questions. So networking is very important. And I keep saying on the group we have silent readers and all. That's fine. Maybe they don't have questions yet, but these are the type of questions that you would want to ask on the group. You'd want to ask, okay, I was trying to do VLOOKUP, for example, and I couldn't figure it out. And then, if I have the time, we'll come together and we'll trash that out. So these are very useful things to get you in. So it doesn't matter your field. Onyekachi Ozuzu. Ugo, is that your brother? So
Yes.
okay. So Onyekachi says he's totally new. Onyekachi, trust me, in no time, if you have the zeal and if you have the interest, you get on board. And like I said, I will do a video on how I got started, and that's part of the series, which started with the one I did with Eno on how to. Sorry, let me paste Ugo's LinkedIn for you. I started that series with Eno Eka on how to get into IT with business analysis, and I did another one with Toby on how to get change careers and also get into HR. Okay, so I've pasted Ugo's LinkedIn profile link on the chat. Do well to follow him. If you don't have any more questions, to round this up, I would say thank you for attending this live session. Again, all I ask is to like the video. It helps so that we keep doing this. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. Ugo's channel, I'll put it in the description, but it's also on the slide. So if you've downloaded that, go to the last page and please subscribe to his channel as well. We'll both be providing videos to further buttress all of the points we've made. So thank you very much for attending this session. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and stay safe. And I want to give a special shout out to Ugochukwu. Ugo, thanks for helping put this together and sharing your wealth of information. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your weekend or whatever is left of your weekend. Bye.
Okay, bye guys.